there is a destiny that makes us brothers. None goes his way alone. Those are the words of Edward Markham. Mr. Markham was a perceptive man, for his words apply to the whole existence of mankind. Man has needed his fellow man since the beginning of time, and ever since man first realized that two people working together could make life a little better, the spirit of brotherhood has flourished in our history. In the early days of the Roman Empire, the spirit of brotherhood grew into fraternal societies. Each member contributed to a fund which was used to insure other members of the group. Any excess funds were used for social activities and fraternal gatherings. This spirit of fraternalism has survived the ups and downs of early civilizations, the fall of kings, and the birth of nations. And today, while man's lifestyle has changed, the basic social and economic needs of man are still served by nearly 200 fraternal benefit societies in the United States and Canada. Over 10 million people of various ethnic, religious, and labor backgrounds belong to one of these non-profit fraternal benefit societies. Today's fraternal societies are founded on the same principles as those of ancient times, those of letting the group protect the best interests of the individual members. Most fraternal societies are supported by offering life and health insurance to the various members as a means of family protection. But unlike profit-making insurance companies, the excess funds of these fraternal societies are reinvested back into the society for the immediate benefit of the members. One such society is experiencing unusual growth at a time when we sometimes wonder whether the Brotherhood of Man is simply a spiritual myth. At a time in our history when brothers and sisters, parents and children, grandparents and grandchildren are often hundreds of miles apart, and at a time when individual interests and personal achievements are highly encouraged in most aspects of our lives, there is a fraternal benefit society whose brotherhood and fraternal spirit reaches out over a 12-state area. Their membership is nearly 70,000 strong, and they all stand for a common cause, making things better for their fellow man. They're called the Catholic Knights of St. George, and this is their story. This is the National Fraternal Center of the Catholic Knights of St. George in Wellsburg, West Virginia. I've been talking with the Supreme President, Joseph Miller, and I've asked him just what the doctrine of the Catholic Knights of St. George is, and also to tell me something about the programs and activities that they're involved in.
Well, this home you're sitting in now has been a vital part of the Catholic Knights of St. George since 1922. And when I look at the history of the society, I find that as early as 1917 or 1918, the leaders of the Catholic Knights of St. George shared a very vital concern about the need to provide a home for older members. And after searching many properties, they settled on this one. And of course, the state has grown, and we have many facilities around the grounds which contribute to the fraternal programs. Would you like to take a look at them?
Oh,
let's walk around.
Mount St. George became a part of our society's facilities in 1922 when our leaders were looking for a site to provide a home for aging members. And in selecting the site, there were many properties under consideration, but this one, because of its close rail proximity to Pittsburgh, was selected as the ideal site. Since then, we've developed it into our National Fraternal Center. Basically, we have two philosophies. One of them is the spiritual and temporal protection of the Catholic family. You know, the Fraternal Benefit Society is rather unique. State laws require that we provide insurance for our members, but we're not an insurance company. In addition, we also must have a representative form of government. And that's very important, too, because it provides an opportunity for every member to share in the leadership and the administration of the society. Everybody has a voice. And I think that if we were going to put this in the shortest possible words, I think that the Catholic Knights of St. George is the brotherhood of Catholic men and women who join together to share in each other's needs. We provide protection for the Catholic family, but just as important as that, we try to make these people's lives become full by sharing their lives with others. A lot of our activities exemplify the fraternal spirit of our society. Years ago, we looked at our neighbor as the person across the street or down the block, but today he could be on the other side of the world. As we're growing, we recognize that there are many other needs to meet, and one of them is modern concept in the care of our aging members. We're building, in addition to our home, to provide facilities for care of more of our aging members. It's also designed so there are no steps, but ramps, so that there's no problem with walkers or with wheelchairs. This new home is designed in modules, and so that the old folks who live here will be living in more of a community atmosphere, one where they'll be encouraged to share their lives with each other and to help take care of each other.
Man has always needed food, shelter, and clothing. And one of the doctrines of the Knights of St. George is to fulfill these needs by practicing the corporal and spiritual works of mercy. Today on a mountain in West Virginia, 10 missionary sisters of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus are devoted to this cause in caring for the residents of the Knights of St. George Home for the Aging. This home, though, is not a home for the dying, but a home for the living. Home for the Aging has been called the Knights of St. George's most meaningful fraternal project. I asked Joe Miller just what that means.
I think we can look at the home as perhaps one of our most meaningful fraternal projects, possibly because it's been with us for over 50 years. And I think also it's a real graphic exemplification of one of our basic philosophies, and that's the fact that we want to exemplify, we want to put into action the corporal and spiritual works of mercy. The idea of providing a home for the homeless or giving drink to the thirsty. Our home is administered by the missionary sisters of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus. This is an order of nuns whose mother house is in Reading, Pennsylvania. And I think more than anything else, it's the sisters who provide the real warmth and flavor and the spirit of our home. We take great pride, for example, in our home being, for the most part, self-sustaining. In fact, the sisters still bake the altar breads for our hosts, which is rather unusual today. Most of our vegetables, some of our meats, they're all raised right here on the grounds. Even the wine we use at Mass comes from our own vineyards. And we've been doing this for nearly 50 years. I think another very meaningful part of our home is the fact that to our residents, it gives them great spiritual comfort at a time in their lives when they really need it. There's a chapel inside, there's a resident chaplain, and they have that feeling of spiritual security right there with them all the time. Another unique thing about our home is we don't want it to be an institution. We'd like it to be a home, a community. And it's really a home for retired people. They have the freedom to come and go. We encourage them, in fact, to get out, to help themselves, to become active in the activities and the programs of the home, to visit the town. We can never emphasize too strongly that this home is designed to be a community rather than an institution. And we make every effort we can to get the people to participate, to work in the garden, to assist in the laundry, to help prepare the vegetables, to become a part of the home itself so that they feel strongly that it's their home. The real insight into the society is the fact that we're serving people. And the only reason these facilities are here is because it helps us to serve these people better. We have the retreat house. We offer this retreat house to all of our branches for weekend retreats, for planning conferences, for days of recollection, whatever their needs might be. In fact, this afternoon we're going to have a brainstorming session with fraternal leaders from 3 different states. We're gathering for the weekend and we're going to share ideas. We're going to exchange problems. And we're going to try to help each other find the answers of how we can best serve the needs of our members back in our home communities. I think it's important for all of our members to realize that belonging to a local branch brings their membership to full dimension. If they really want to participate, this is where it has to happen. And the local branch is the unit down in the community, the grassroots part of our organization, where the members join together and put our programs into action. Most of our fraternal programs are designed to provide program resources for the branch. A real concern of our national leaders is to support these branches. We do this in many ways. One of the big things is the development and the motivation and the training of leadership. We recognize that if we expect a volunteer to invest his time in his community, in his parish, in behalf of the Catholic Knights of St. George, we've got to train him. We also place strong emphasis on the identity of the branch with the local parish. Every one of our branches has a spiritual advisor who is either the pastor of the church or one of the associate pastors. I think one of the most graphic ways to show you how our own national programs relate to the branch is Camp Rolling Hills. When Camp Rolling Hills was developed, there was a lot of thought given as to how this could provide a meaningful program that every branch could participate in. And so we looked to the branches to seek out the disadvantaged children and to bring them to the camp.
Not backwards, but they're shy. They want to squirm back to the group as fast as possible. Now you're going to put them, subject them through all this rigmarole. They're going to go out and say, man.
Just up the mountain from here is Camp Rolling Hills. It's a camp for underprivileged children. Now, the children aren't physically or mentally handicapped. They just haven't had the same shot at life that a lot of other kids have. Most of them come from ghettos all over the country. Some of them have never been out of their neighborhoods. Some of them have never seen a cow or gone for a walk in the woods or caught that first fish. Well, that's what Camp Rolling Hills is all about. It's all about letting a kid who grew up on a concrete playground get his chance at a country summer evening.
Angels watching over me, my Lord, all night, all day. Angels watching over me.
I'll be working this fall as a teacher for the very first time, teaching 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And working in camp provides me an opportunity to work with children who are a little older, being as most of my experience has been with a very young child.
That's real good.
By the end of 2 weeks, these young campers have discovered something most of them have never known, that working together as a group can be a whole lot better than trying to go it alone. But groups are made of individuals, and each young person, in his own way, learns that it isn't too difficult to become a pretty important part of the whole scheme of things.
Like a pine tree lining the winding road, I've got a name, I've got a name.
Chris, Daniel, Meg, Richard Beasley, Lisa, Bill, Tina.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
I really love to sing and feel like singing is what makes Camp Rolling Hills pretty much what it is, in that singing can really bring a group of kids together and can really get something going as a community. Get 20 kids together that enjoy singing, and you've got a lot accomplished, because these kids have never really known a community or what love's all about. And singing's really a lot of love. And you get a lot of love with 20 kids who've never had much before. You're really getting somewhere. And we all like to sing up here as counselors. Really get a lot going with ourselves as counselors singing.
We get all types of children from really all parts of the country, some from the cities, we get some from the country areas. They come from all over. The camp was founded in 1969, just 5 years ago, as a national fraternal project of the Catholic Knights of St. George. At that time, this hill which we're on now is nothing more than a cornfield. And during the winter of that year, they started construction of the camp. And during the midsummer of 1969, the camp was open to campers.
We have 5 different program areas: field sports, archery, nature, arts and crafts, and the pool. And we have many activities that the children can choose which ones they'd like to go to during the week. We have different games. We have one set day where we have a game day where we run different races, and each unit competes against one another. And having the units competing for a prize, a plaque for the awards banquet, the campers really work on a team effort. They don't put another person down because that person is slower than another person who could run faster and things like this. And one game that we really developed team effort is called Capture the Blob. And the blob is nothing but cornstarch and water mixed together with food coloring added. And a counselor takes it far off into a field and hides it. And each unit leader will have a can, an empty can. And once you find the blob, you bring the blob back from wherever it is and put it in the can that is your unit's can. Now, when you're carrying the blob, you have to carry it with some part of your body.
Oh my God, I'm so funny.
Keep down like that bear to the lawn!
The camp is designed basically as a camp for needy and disadvantaged children. And we have a campership program set up, whereas anyone in the branch, a member of the Knights, or anyone really can sponsor a camper by making a donation of $25, and this is matched by the Supreme Office. We're a member of the American Camping Association and accredited by them. I think the biggest contribution the American Camping Association has made to organize camping is setting up standards, and these standards protect campers and the parents of the campers by setting up in such a way that a parent can be sure that any camp accredited is a safe and good camp for a child to attend.
How to pass an axe. Okay, you pass it like this. And I wouldn't let go until that person said thank you.
Thank you.
I really like working with the boys. Anything that I can teach them is they'll probably remember for a while. They probably wouldn't get much chance to do much building of kites back home, use their hands that way, and any way that they can help me, I let them.
It takes a few days for them to get adjusted, but after a few days, they really are working as a team, a unit.
I suppose the most unique feature about this camp are the varied backgrounds of the children. Some of them come from pretty poor backgrounds, and some of them are pretty rough. But I think through sports, we can teach them much about themselves and working together. On the archery range, for one, they can work individually. They can come out here not knowing anything, and with a little help, a little bit of coaching, they can become pretty good at it. When we also have the field sports, we try to get through to the boys that they should work together.
Joe, what do you think?
Whatever you do, you know, whether you win or lose, you still be friends with the other team and all that, shake their hands. Whether you win or lose, it's just a game, you know. Somebody gotta lose. What do you feel sportsmanship is?
Well, be friends and don't argue, and that's about all I can say.
All right, you can fish for a half an hour.
Sure, we wish them to be individuals, and we respect their individuality, but we also want them to learn that as a team, they can win and work together. Some of them are very good individual players, but we want also to get across the point to them that if they make a good pass, or if they help someone out on defense, that they're helping the whole unit, and they're working together, and that they can be successful. We hope it'll carry through when they leave here, and that when they get back home, they'll work with other kids on their block, in their neighborhood, and it'll show that we have accomplished something here.
Do you feel that you learned anything from the basketball game and the softball game?
Yeah.
What did you learn? What do you think?
You work together and you win. That's right. You have to work as a team to win. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the rewards that the staff gets, is to see these kids develop and see the change of them.
Tomorrow morning is your last morning here. I figured, well, maybe I'd get up if I can try. I'll try to get up and open the pool at 6:30 tomorrow morning!
And it's really rewarding to sit at the awards banquet and see these kids that came in 2 weeks ago with nothing and they didn't know anyone else here, and to see them get up time and time again to get an award or a ribbon for just about anything at the camp, and to see them as a unit applauding each other and the campers in their unit, it's really great. It's part of our pay, I guess you could say.